All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the NFL recap show here, Sports Insanity Network. Now, Mike, you got the old ops guy with you. Week 4 is in the books of the National Football League season. Old ops guy, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. Pretty happy how the Sunday night game ended up turning out. But otherwise, nice week of football to review.
Yeah, we had a tie. We had a team. Certain teams get their first win. Some of us were a little bit giddy about that. Um, but I want to start with what I thought was the biggest game of the day, and that was the Ravens and the Chiefs. Two perennial powerhouses in the AFC, and one of them looked like it. The other one still has some soul searching to do. Chiefs beat the Ravens 37-20. For those of you who thought Patrick Mahomes was done, well, he's not, as he threw for 270 and 4 touchdowns. Getting Xavier Worthy back was huge. Uh, Lamar and the Ravens struggle again. They're now 1-3. The Chiefs go back to 2-2. And Mark, I said this last week on Wishbone. I may have said it on the sideline report with Dan. I felt this was more of a must-win game for Kansas City than it was Baltimore.
Absolutely. The way Kansas City has been playing looked lackluster. It looked like more of an end of a dynasty team that had no life left in them. This was a big game for them to go out and win. Yes, we'll touch on Lamar Jackson in a minute. Patrick Mahomes was back doing Patrick Mahomes things, 4 touchdowns. And this is really one of the first games where you see Travis Kelce really get involved more when he had 8 targets, had 5 catches for 48. But Mike hit the keynote is that Patrick Mahomes got Xavier Worthy back, and that gave him the deep pass back that he's been missing. So with him and Traquan Thornton, maybe we can start seeing replicas of what KC, the former KC Chiefs, return.
And think of it like this too. They're 2-2. If they go 1-1 over the next 2 weeks, which I'll look at up who they play now. They play Jacksonville Monday night. Oh, and then they get the Lions at home on Sunday night. If they can go 1-1 in those 2 games, they're 3-3. And they get Rashee Rice back. Now all of a sudden, this offense is fully healthy. It can get back on track. And that's kind of what we're used to seeing. I think the other thing that I thought was really important for me back Kansas City was everything wasn't out of shotgun. They weren't afraid to put Mahomes under center, and they did a lot of work under center. They actually ran the ball almost at 4 yards of carry as a team. You know, 37 pass plays, 32 run plays. It's almost 50-50.
Pretty balanced. And
And
that's Andy
that's the
Reid.
key.
That's Andy Reid's style of play. He likes to have a balanced offense.
And a great mustache. But if you were worried about Kansas City, I wouldn't worry anymore. But I'll say this is why I felt it was a must win. Going into the week, the Chargers were 3-0, but they were 3-0 in the division. And while, yes, Kansas City has only played the Chargers as a divisional opponent, you're not, I don't know if they're going to go 4-2 because Denver is good. The Raiders, under Pete Carroll are not going to be a pushover, and the Chargers already have a win over you. So 1-3 in the West, not good.
Now,
1-3 in the AFC North for the Baltimore Ravens. You can live with that because I don't think there's a team in the AFC North that can run away with the division. Cleveland,
God,
not good enough. The Bengals, we're going to get into that. That's a mess. And I have about as much faith in the Pittsburgh Steelers as Bill Murphy does his Boston Red Sox beating the Yankees in the wild card series.
the Steelers pulled off a nice win in Ireland, even though one of their players got jumped.
Former
But
golfer
Pittsburgh,
Skylar Thompson.
yep. This team, meaning Baltimore, is not going away. Lamar Jackson left the game with a hamstring injury. He's having an MRI today. We'll get the results of that tonight, and either Mike or I will write an article quickly about it.
There will be a wishbone shotgun recorded today, so hopefully we'll have the results by then.
Right. We don't have it today. One of the two of us will get it out on what is happening. Let's take the Devils' point of view on this. Lamar Jackson pulled hamstring out 6 weeks. Let's just take the worst that it can be. What does that do to Baltimore? You have not A plus backup, but you got a B backup in Cooper Rush, who had time in Dallas and has experience.
All right, so what do you do if Lamar's out 6 weeks? Is what you're asking me.
Yes.
I think you got one option. I think you got two options. You could play Cooper Rush and just pray that it works, or you pull the trigger. And you pull the trigger on one guy. You pull the trigger for Russell Wilson.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I would have said pull the trigger for Kirk Cousins, but there's a difference between what Russell Wilson brings and what Kirk Cousins brings. Russell Wilson at least brings you some athleticism to where you could call some quarterback runs for him, kind of like Lamar, even though he's not Lamar. Kirk Cousins, you can't do it. It's just going to be dropped back or handed to Derrick Henry. So I think you look that route.
Okay. I mean, we'll see what the injury is exactly, but that's the straight arrow answer, I think, that needs to be done.
And I got to tell you, I think they're saying it was a hamstring. I kind of wonder if they just pulled him because the score was getting out of hand.
Could be.
Like he's good enough to go, but it's just like, yeah, we're not making the comeback. But
right.
That's not even the side of the ball the Ravens I'm worried about. This defense
is no version of any Baltimore defense that we've seen in the last decade.
I mean, I don't know what needs to happen. I don't know if Ray Lewis needs to go in and give them a pep talk. I don't know if they need Ed Reed's beard. I mean, this defense was supposed to be one of the best in the league, and they can't stop a nosebleed right now.
No. There are a lot of weaknesses, and it's not just focused on one guy. There is a lot of weaknesses. Obviously, we saw the secondary get torched yesterday. The linebacker and defensive line, held up to giving up only 3.7 yards a carry. Okay. but didn't give up any touchdowns, which is big. But when you have Patrick Mahomes, you don't care if you don't score on the ground. The
Mm-hmm.
person who had the most carries was Kareem Hunt, and also the Minshew made an appearance for 2 carries.
Oh, well, the game got out of hand. But look, this defense, Nate Wiggins got hurt, Marlon Humphrey got hurt. So now you're going to battle it at corner for a
Yep.
long time. And I, they're going to need to get to the passer now. They're going to need to rush the passer better. Hopefully, they'll get Kyle Van Noy back at some point. He's been out with a hamstring. Matabuki, the nose tackle, he's out for the year now with a neck injury. Wishing the best for him. But this defense, it's blow after blow after blow. And I don't know about you. I don't think they ever recovered from week one where they blew that game against the Bills.
And I think you're absolutely right. Losing a game like that, as well as they played, it kind of lingers on in the locker room a little bit. And now with being 1-3, that's where you're looking at it. We failed here. We got to start getting back into that game mode and that attitude.
Yeah, so next week, well, now this week, the Ravens will host the Texans,
Okay.
which is a winnable game. And the Kansas City Chiefs will be on Monday Night Football hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is now a really big game because the Jaguars are 3-1. They went into San Francisco and beat the Niners last week,
Yes, they did.
but
With
by a
with
score of
with a healthy
26
Brock
to
Purdy too.
21. What was that?
I said with a healthy Brock Purdy as well.
Well, there was news off of Purdy the other day. Adam Schefter said they don't know if Purdy's going to play Thursday night. He was reportedly, he said something about soreness after the game. So
So I guess we will wait and see as they
we'll
do
wait to
plan.
see. But for the Jags, look, they got a punt return touchdown. They forced some turnovers defensively. And Travis Etienne seems to be back.
Yep, another 100-yard
100-yard
effort.
game.
He's turning into that dual threat that he was talked about for so long. Mind you, he only had 1 reception on 2 targets, but Etienne is turning into that runner that shows the reason why the Jags drafted him.
And here's the thing, if you can run the football, that takes less pressure off of Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence was the quarterback I said who had the most to prove this season because of the money he makes, the hair, and he's already on his third coach. Although we don't want to count the Urban Meyer years, that's fine. But Trevor Lawrence going 21 to 31 for a $174 and a touchdown. Efficient football.
Mm-hmm.
He's not forcing it. He's not having to drop back 50 times, which I don't think is something he wants to do, nor is capable of doing. But now he's just playing smart football. And it's kind of reminiscent of that first year under Doug Peterson, where the Jags looked like they were on the cusp of something and then literally threw it back up. But look, this is a really good win early in the year on the road because you backed up your 2 wins over a bad Panthers team. You lose to the Bengals when Joe Burrow got hurt, and you beat Houston, who we'll get into in a bit. So this is a nice stand-up win for the Jacksonville Jaguars before they got to play some tougher teams. Kansas City on Monday night. The Seattle Seahawks come into town. They go to London and play the Rams. They got a meeting in November with the Chargers.
That's going to be a big game.
They got Denver still on their schedule. See anything else? Indy, but that's division. Oh, here's a tough one. Sorry, Dan. December 14th, they got to play the Jets.
At home or away?
That is in Let me double check that. That's in Jacksonville.
Okay. Trevor Lawrence's record in the cold is not that good.
Clemson guy, Southern guy.
Yep.
I wouldn't expect it. Flip side to the Niners. Look, the Niners have had just so many damn injuries to start this year. For them to be 3-1 right now, I'm not gonna panic. I'm more disappointed in the injury side than anything else. Especially no Nick Bosa. We'll see if Purdy plays Thursday night. But that's
right.
a huge game. Niners Rams. Always
yeah.
fun.
Just to point out, Christian McCaffrey doing Christian McCaffrey things. They were able to stop the Jaguars game. Were able to stop him on the run, holding him to 17 carries and 49 yards. However, we know how much of a dual threat McCaffrey is, and with Mike just pointing out all the injuries. I mean, no Ayuk, no Debo, no Kittle. Christian McCaffrey, 6 receptions, 92 and a touchdown. And then these are your next 3 receiver leaders. Jake Tungus, Ricky Pearsall, and Kyle Juszczyk. That's a problem. No offense to them. They're in the NFL for a reason. But that doesn't scare fear into any team.
Tungus, I believe, is the replacement for Kittle. Juszczyk's the fullback, and Pearsall was the number 1 pick their first round pick 2 years ago. So. And Juwan Jennings, I know, got banged up in this game too. So
again, yes.
The Niners just I feel for them. you do. They are the walking wounded yet again. I don't know what they're doing there, but they got to figure it out. I know they played a lot of football over the years, but damn. All right. And then we had the Eagles Bucks, which was turned out to be a great game. The Eagles go to 4-0 with the 31-25 victory. And again, the Eagles special teams played a role. They got a block punt return for a touchdown. And then, Jalen Hurts did his thing. Saquon got a touchdown. And then, Baker almost leading a comeback.
Yeah. Look, I truly enjoy watching Baker Mayfield play. He plays hard until the final second of the game, whether he's up by 40 or he's down by 60. He still comes out with the same intensity. He was missing his number 1 target in Mike Evans this week, but he did get Chris Godwin back. Godwin was on a snap count. He only had 3 receptions on the return. The running game was a disappointment for Tampa Bay. 26 carries, 104, nothing to show for it. That has to change. Mm-hmm. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be successful, they have to be able to do it on the ground. Flip-sided to the Sheagles, Jalen Hurts played a very efficient game. 15-24, 130, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's not forcing the ball. He's not pushing it up over the top. However, there is something very wrong with number 11 and A.J. Brown. 2 receptions and 7 yards. There is something very, very wrong here. This guy, for the last 5 years since he came into the league, has been one of the scariest and one of the most reliable receivers in football. What has happened, Mike, to A.J. Brown?
I don't know. And that's the thing. I last week against the Rams, he had a great game. This week he goes back to being invisible.
Yeah, irrelevant.
And I kind of wonder if part of this I is the coaching. I don't know if part of this is game planning. Like my biggest question would be this. I don't know what you think. I'll say this. I think AJ Brown is a top 7 receiver in football.
I would say top 10, yeah.
Okay. He should be loaded up for targets. And you throw it to him 3, 4, 5 times, whatever the number is. Now, we know he's going to take a little bit of a dip because Philadelphia wants to run the ball.
Correct.
Saquon, even Jalen Hurts on a quarterback run. That's fine. But there has to be something in this passing game. And I don't know why they're avoiding AJ Brown. Are they trying to keep him healthy? Is that a part of the plan? Like but for him to have 2 catches for 7 yards in a game, let's be honest, you want because Tampa Bay's in your conference and home field advantage. And it's not like Tampa Bay's got the greatest secondary in the world.
No.
So I don't know. In the first 2 weeks, I wasn't pushing the panic button. Then he had that game against the Rams, and then we're back to what this is. I don't know what this is. Like even
Right.
Devontae Smith, I think had 3 catches.
2 for 29.
So the difference is the yards, but 2 catches.
Yeah, Dallas Goedert and Saquon Barkley each led the way with 4 receptions, but neither one of them topped 40 yards. But Goedert had 2 touchdowns.
And that's fine. You want Goddard to be a big part of the offense. I have no problem with that. I'll say this. AJ Brown's probably not going to have a great game next week either because he's going to probably go up against Pat Surtain when they play Denver. So it's really interesting what's going on there in Philly. And, if you flip side it to Tampa, you said it, Mike Evans wasn't there, but get Godwin back and Emeka Egbuka again.
It has been slowly. I mean, not slowly. He has had himself emerged since week 1. Yesterday 4 for 101 and a touchdown. Right now, if you put up the charts, he's your leading rookie of the year candidate.
Oh, 100%.
So it's nice to see this type of explosiveness from a young rookie. And not to take anything away from Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, they're both very accomplished receivers in the NFL. This kid could end up moving up to number 2 by next year.
And I think that's an interesting point. Mike Evans is another year older. We know the hamstring has been a problem for the past couple of years. It's kind of easing him out, and now we got Egbuka and we got Chris Godwin. It's pretty nice. I like how Tampa Bay's gone about it, but the Eagles remain undefeated. They'll host Denver next week. Tampa 3-1. They're going to go to Seattle.
The Hawks.
I believe they're going to see. I'm just double checking where that game is. Yeah, that game's in Seattle. Bucks, Seahawks in Seattle, which should be a great game.
A lot of nice games set up for next week's slate.
Yeah. Seahawks are coming off that win over the Cardinals on Thursday night. We broke that down on Sunday sideline report.
Yep.
Sam Darnold's been really good. All right, let's get into your tie, your 40-40 tie, your Edward Scissorhands tie.
Oh my God. As the old saying goes in a movie, a tie is like kissing your sister. Yeah. Oh, from the beginning of this game, it looked like this was going to be a Packers win from right out of the gate. Jordan Love, 31-43, 337, and three touchdowns. I would say that's spectacular. However, it was against the Dallas secondary that gave up 454 yards to Russell Wilson. So I'm not stating that he had a bad game. I'm just saying I'm not impressed by 337 against this Dallas secondary. But he was accurate. He was efficient. He made a goo eyes with Romeo Dobbs all night, who led with three touchdowns and 58 yards on six receptions. Even, having that big head on his shoulders with that ego gaining, you could see it puffing up each time. Josh Jacobs, 22 carries, 86 yards, and two touchdowns. But Josh Jacobs wasn't really a factor until the second half. The Dallas defense, like the Green Bay defense, played a great first half. I mean, yes, Green Bay was leading, but Dallas, coming up with that big fumble at the end of the second quarter, which all of us, even myself, said, "What the hell is Green Bay doing?" And then Dallas was able to cut it to 10-3. Flip to the second half. Dak Prescott came out and played Dak Prescott football with even the little with missing a CD Lamb. 31 of 40, 319 and three touchdowns, a 94 QBR rating and 124 rating. That is FedEx Ground Player of the Week isk. Javonte Williams, 20 for 85 and a touchdown. Every week, and I said this at the beginning of our podcast last week, Javonte Williams has been averaging 80 yards on the ground. This is something Dallas really hasn't had, and a touchdown hasn't had in such a long time. And that's what gave Dak Prescott the time to find the guy who was there to be the number two, but right now it's CD out being number one and picking everything out of the air, including what a catch at the 1 yard line. 8 for 134 and two touchdowns. This shows why Jerry went to get him.
And it's just why
The
Jerry's
end,
gonna have to pay him.
yeah. The end of this game was exactly like the end of the Giant game. Giving up late scores, last second field goals, except the turnout of Dallas winning in the overtime didn't happen. It ended in a tie. Ties in football real rarely happen. So
You're good for about a one a year.
yeah, I mean it's not something that any team wants. However, this will screw with rankings for Green Bay if they keep playing on the low end. Also, news out of Green Bay with Micah Parsons back. He will have an MRI and see if he will be held out this weekend. Sad to hear that, though.
Well, I think Parsons. I'm going to push that to the side. I said on Wishbone last week I had a challenge for Jordan Love, and that was he has to be the guy.
Right.
I'm still not convinced he's the guy. And I don't say that as disrespect. I say because, look, he has moments where he's brilliant and he's great, but he also has those moments of like, what are you doing?
As I said, I'm not going to take away that the guy put up 300 yards and three touchdowns, no
Oh,
interceptions.
oh yeah. Well, he almost threw a couple of picks.
Well, yeah, it was close, but it wasn't. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I said this at the beginning of our Sunday sideline, not Sunday sideline, the beginning of our watching the game last night. I said, I think Jordan Love has the ability, but I just don't see him as the Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre mindset yet. That he is, like you said, he is the guy. We know Dak Prescott is the guy in Dallas. He isn't going anywhere, especially at $60 million. This was the first game where we really saw life out of Dak.
And I think Dak needed to show life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Dak needs to continue to show life because you just said something and it's kind of registered with me over the last couple of weeks because of Jerry. Jerry keeps bringing up the fact that he paid Dak or he was
Mm-hmm.
pressured into paying Dak. In the back of my mind, I kind of wonder if the Cowboys were to miss the playoffs, is he going to blame the first year coach? We know he's not going to blame the general manager because he's a general manager.
And it's his son, so.
And he's not going to blame himself. So who's left?
Well,
Dak Prescott.
well, that's what we've all said is who's going to get the blame. We pointed out this year's first coaches. We know Aaron Glenn is not going anywhere. Aaron Glenn has done a great job with the Jets right now. The mind you,
Oh, yeah, he is.
they're not winning every game, but as a first year coach, he's really performing.
We'll get into Aaron
Schottenheimer,
Glenn.
yeah. Schottenheimer, is he doing a horrible job? No.
No. But that's what I'm saying. You're not going to fire him after 1 year.
No. Schottenheimer's going to stay for a while. I'm not saying 10 years or anything, but I say he'll be around at least 3, 4 years.
Actually, we got news out of Baltimore before we get into
Okay.
Roquan Smith, the all-pro linebacker. Grade 2 hamstring. He's going to miss a couple of weeks.
That's harsh. He was having a nice start to the season, too.
Yeah. So anyway, back into Dallas. So who's left? It'd be Dak.
Yep.
And I do think there is an organization out there that refuses to develop quarterbacks that would trade for Dak Prescott. And I'm going to tell you the name right now. The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Send it. Look, number one, the question is, what would they get for Dak? It would have to be one hell of an overhaul.
Well, again, we're fast forwarding to the off season, which I don't want to do.
Okay, we'll bring this up. We'll bring this up.
I don't want to foreshadow it, but I'm just saying in the back of my mind, if Dallas either A misses the playoffs or B they lose in the wild card round,
again,
Dak is in trouble. But you're right; they've run the ball very well. This offense looks so much different than it did just a year ago.
Yeah.
It's the other side of the ball that they need to worry about.
Yes. The defense is absolutely atrocious.
And also, how about Trayvon Diggs telling the media the other day? He was asked why he didn't start the game, and he goes, "I don't know. You got to talk to the coaches."
There's been a lot of controversy between Trayvon Diggs, Jerry Jones, and Stephen Jones after the Micah Parsons removal.
Yeah, so interesting spot there. Just keeping it within the NFC East. The Commanders lost to the Falcons. Again, no Jaden Daniels. It was Mariota. But the Commanders, they fall to 2-2, and the Falcons go to 2-2. I'm still not a believer in the Falcons.
The Falcons are a streaky team. They'll be hot, they'll be quiet. If you want to make any comment about the Falcons this week, Bijan Robinson had his best game as a NFL pro with 75 on the ground and 100 receiving. So
yeah, listen, they got everyone involved. Even Kyle Pitts had a touchdown this week. So
yep, Tyler Algier even had a touchdown.
Yeah, so Washington, you better hope not only get Jaden Daniels back, but Terry McLaurin too.
Right. Jaden Daniels, they're calling it just a knee sprain, but McLaurin's quad seems to be very deeply bruised and he can barely move on it.
No, that's going to be brutal. And then just wrapping up the NFC East, the Giants get their first one in Jackson Dart's debut, 21-18 over the Chargers, who have their own issues, by the way.
We know Jackson Dart will be going for an MRI this week just to look at that hamstring. Had a nice, calm rookie day. Nothing crazy. He got a touchdown out of it. However, the Giants took a loss that they did not need.
Hmm.
In the first half, Jackson Dart threw a moon ball down the right sideline, and Malik Neighbors went up for it. And when he came down, you saw that knee go every which way but correct. And the 100% fear is he tore his ACL.
It's
And
confirmed.
oh, it is 100% confirmed. Okay. It's confirmed he tore his ACL, and I know they were talking about the other two ligaments, but I guess they are okay and structurally sound.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything on that, but ACL Neighbors done for the year. And look, Jackson Dart did play fine, but this Giant offense just they don't have the weaponry to combat this kind of injury.
No, because now you're going back to the Daniel Jones setup with one difference, and that being Cam Scatabo, who's really performing well over the
He's been really good, yeah.
first 4 games of the season. But now you're back with Wendell Robinson at the 2, and guess who your number 1 is again? Darius Slayton. The Giants, it would be advantageous to go see if there's a number 2 receiver available, someone unless they can get reliability out of.
The
They're not gonna find a number 1 available right now.
the problem with that is, are the Giants in a position where they can really give up draft capital?
It doesn't necessarily have to be draft capital right now. There are I don't have the list in front of me. There are still free agents out there who haven't signed yet. There is a Giant legend who said he wants to play one more year. Is this to go bring Odell back and let him finish as a Giant?
I would think he wants to win.
I don't disagree, but nobody's coming knocking at the door for him. The Giants have an opening, and he could easily line himself up as the number 1 wide receiver.
Well, that would be true. Let's just see if there's anyone else out there that's still out there.
But a positive for the Giants is Cam Scatabo, 25 attempts for 79 yards. No touchdown this week. And then Jackson Dart having 54 and Devin Singletary even chipping in 4 yards a carry. And the Giants are putting up 161 on the ground. So that's important.
Yeah, this is where the Giants could have used actually bringing in Gabe Davis when he was out there. All right, so here's a list. Nelson Aguilar is still apparently out there. Former Titan Tyler Boyd, Brandon Powell, Jamison Crowder.
Crowder's too old.
It is who?
Crowder. Too old.
Crowder's 32.
At the end of his career.
Apparently Allen Robinson's still out there unless he's announced his retirement, which I don't know.
Right. There are names the Giants can go get to help Jackson Dart out with the rest of the season.
Yeah. And flip side for the Chargers, this offensive line could not protect Justin Herbert.
No,
He
not at
was
all.
pressured all day long. I know they have injuries up front, but boy, they're going to have to figure that out.
Hats off to rookie Omarion Hampton, who had 128 on the ground and 37 on the receiving. He's turning into a real good feature for the Los Angeles Chargers.
Well, they're going to need him now with Najee Harris after the year. So
correct.
All right, so that's the NFC East. AFC West, we had the Raiders lose to the Bears 25-24. Blocked field goal at the end for the Bears to secure the win. And look,
Ugh.
the Bears have kind of found they're now 2-2 after the embarrassment that was that game in Detroit. But
I mean,
Caleb, go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go, no, no, go ahead.
Caleb 22-37, 212, a touchdown and a pick. DeAndre Swift had a touchdown, and Roman Dunzia's kind of turned into that number one they were hoping to.
And he's performing well,
Yep.
but these were low numbers for Chicago, especially after last week's stomping of the Dallas Cowboys. Caleb Williams, Mike Ray pointed out, had a balanced day, but the running game was absolutely not there, even though DeAndre Swift did score from about 11 yards out.
Yeah. And look, for the Raiders, Gino can't turn the ball over 3 times.
No.
Can't happen. He's been around too long to do it. Ashton Genty had his best game of the year, 138 yards and a touchdown. I think 2 touchdowns because I think he had one receiving as well. But the Bears go to 2-2. The Raiders go to 1-3. And then just to wrap up the AFC West. Last night the Broncos put a whooping on the Bengals, 28-3. Dear Bengals, go get a quarterback.
I mean, it seems like we're saying this every year at this point for the Bengals. Because the last 3 years, Joe Burrow has gotten injured. Jake Browning is not the answer, especially when you have the talent you do as receiver.
And that's the thing. Like those receivers, we knew Chase needed a new deal and T. Higgins was a free agent. When you bring them both back, you are signaling to everybody you want to win. Now, nobody expects Joe Burrow to get hurt, and it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, Joe Burrow got hurt. You now need to address this. And Jake Browning is just not, no offense to him, he's just not the answer.
And Mike, you brought up something earlier. Could Cincinnati be in the line to call the Giants?
Okay, call the Giants. Call the Rams on Jimmy G, for Pete's sake. Like, figure something out for these teams that are quarterback needy. But I just don't get it. Denver, Bo Nix was better than he's been the first couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I still have not been overly impressed to start the year, but it is what it is. They didn't need much to beat a Bengal team that just
It
it's
just
out of
is.
sorts without Joe Burrow.
Yes. They don't know who they are. That's the problem.
And they're not going to know who they are. And that's kind of the big problem here. So Cincinnati, they go to, I think they're Cincinnati 2-2 or 1-3.
2-2.
Cincinnati's
Both
two
are
and
two.
two.
Both are 2-2.
Both are 2-2. All right. And then that wraps up the AFC West. Just to put a bow on the North, Cleveland got beat again, this time by the Lions 34-10. Your guy Jared Goff had a game.
Yeah. Sorry. I had to get my notes up quickly.
No,
So
no.
Jared Goff is now starting to look like the Jared Goff of last year. That first game, it looked like he was forcing everything and trying to put up a big game. Since that, he's played more conservative football. 16-27, 168, 2-1, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And then the story on the day for me is the lackluster in the running game when you have two of the most explosive backs in football in Gibbs and Montgomery. Gibbs had a nice day, 15 for 91 and a touchdown. But David Montgomery, 1.3 yard average, 9 for 12. That's a shocker.
And give credit to Cleveland's defense, which has been good enough. They're just not helped out by the offense. But Detroit, look, we were concerned after week 1 about the Detroit Lion offense. Guess what? They're back.
Mm-hmm. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, great game, 7 receptions, 70 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Between him, Laporta, Jameson Williams, they've got the explosiveness.
Yep, the secondary played much better this game, but they got to keep it up.
I still think they need to add either a corner or another edge rusher by the trade deadline. The other AFC versus NFC North back matchup was in Ireland. That was the Steelers over the Vikings. And I said this to Dan on sideline. I'm not a believer in the Steelers. Just not.
The funny thing is that through 3 quarters, Carson Wentz was Carson Wentz. Absolute garbage. The fourth quarter, which is also known as garbage time, he came to life. Hitting Justin Jefferson over 10 times for 126 yards. Jordan Addison returned from a 3-game suspension, 4 receptions for 114 yards. So without JJ there, Carson Wentz was playing like crap, and that, oh shit, we got to win. Flip it over to Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers in his first week stood up there and threw 4 touchdowns, correct? Mind you, this is Ireland. It's not the perfect sod, grass, turf that he likes. And he only threw 1 touchdown, but was beyond deficient at 18 for 22 for an even 200. Kenneth Gainwell had a nice game too. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is good as I don't think this Pittsburgh team is as good as they are right now.
Well, let's look at their 3 wins for a second. They beat the Vikings with Carson Wentz. They barely escaped the Jets. And we know what kind of show that's been. They lost at home to Seattle. And if New England doesn't turn the ball over 5 times, New England probably gets them in New England.
Right.
So,
So
I don't understand. I understand that they're 3-1, and I don't know what sort of voodoo Mike Tomlin does every year to get this team to be this, but they're not that great of a football team.
right.
Their defense is not as overpowering as it used to be. Offensively, yes, they have Aaron Rodgers, they have DK Metcalf. Outside of that, I'm not really concerned about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Call me when they beat a really good football team. I'm not saying Minnesota's bad,
No,
but it's a different team with Carson Wentz than it is JJ McCarthy.
correct.
All right. And then the AFC South, we talked about the Jags. How about the Texans getting off the schneid? They beat the Titans 26-0.
Yeah, Texans are the first. Well, not are the first team. Texans are still up there with a goose egg in 2 categories, in wins and in points this week. Cam Ward, look, I really like to watch him in college. I know he was thrown in due to the injury to
Will Levis.
Thank you. I just drew a blank there. Um, he went 10 for 26, 108 yards and an interception. That's not going to get it done. Tony Pollard is. I liked him in Dallas. He was a good complement runner. He's not a lead back. 14 for 64. And then there's really nobody, no offense to the Tennessee receiving team. I mean, I guess you can call it Calvin Ridley. 2 for 30. Tennessee, if they keep playing like this, will not win a game this season.
And I like what Kenworth said post game, and he didn't hold back. And he basically said, "We're playing like garbage, and partially it's my fault. But look, he's a rookie quarterback. He's not going to be able to lead a team. You
He's
know,
not Peyton Manning.
right? They need their veterans to step up. You brought up Calvin Ridley. I'll bring up Jeffrey Simmons.
Oh yeah.
They need guys on both sides of the ball to step up because that's unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
So the Titans go to 0-4. Texans get their first win of the year. Flip side, the Colts also.
Oh.
CJ Stroud finally played pretty well.
Yep.
But
good.
the Colts lose their first game of the year. They fall to the Rams 27-20. And Adonai Mitchell did something he will never forget. As he goes to score a touchdown, he fumbled the football. He pulled a Deshaun Jackson.
Sorry, look. I understand mistakes in football happen. You can't let it happen when you're going into the end zone.
You trip and fall, fine. It happens. That play can't happen.
No. The Indianapolis Colts finally lose one, as you said. They go to 3-1, and this was probably the worst performance from the Colts offense so far. Yes, they went up against a very tough LA defense, but Daniel Jones didn't have a horrible day, just not one of his best. 262 yards, one touchdown, 2 ints. Jonathan Taylor really wasn't much of a factor of 17 for 76. And not really going to talk about the receivers because, Michael Pittman, sure, he got the touchdown. You flip sided over to the Rams, and for a guy who was told that his lower back would not be able to hold that all season, went 29-41 for 375 yards and 3 touchdowns, and finding his favorite, Puka, which I love saying, 13 for 170 and a touchdown.
Puka Nacua is playing himself into two different categories. One, he is entering the realm of one of the best receivers in football.
Oh, yeah.
And two, he's entering the MVP conversation.
Yep.
With his performance so far this year. He's been awesome. Stafford, again, has been awesome. Kyren Williams. They just do the damn thing week in, week out. And they are the one team. They're not the one team. But them and the Lions right now pose the biggest threat to Philadelphia.
Yep. The Los Angeles Rams over the last 5 years have been distinguished. They've always been out there. They've always been a threat. Yeah, they go through slumps like any other team, but this isn't a team I would close my eyes on. Because if they can't get it to Puka, you got Tutu Atwell, who might not seem like anything. Kid's got a lot of speed, and he can run some great routes. Yeah, he had one reception, but it was for 88 yards and a touchdown. Oh, and let's not forget perennial Pro Bowler Davante Adams also had a touchdown.
And
Matthew Stafford has receivers, and if you give him 4 seconds, he's going to beat you every time.
And by the way, they also have Tyler Higbee at tight end.
Mm-hmm.
So they're loaded. And that young defense just continues to play well.
Absolutely. And as much as I hate him sometimes, Aaron Donald playing beautifully.
Oh, I miss Aaron Donald. All right. So I believe that oh no, we got a couple of games left. We got the AFC East left.
Yeah.
The Bills beat the Saints 31-19. That game should not have been even close. Credit the Saints for hanging around, but
Yeah, no, that was going to be a Bills win from the sound of the gun. Nate Moser sitting there, happy that Buffalo is doing Buffalo things. Again, Josh Allen being the focus. 16 to 22, 209, 2-1, and then adds 45 on the ground and a touchdown. Here's a question for you, Mike. Who would you rather have, Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson?
Right now or all time?
Right now, since they both walked in the league. Because saying about Lamar Jackson now, he's hurt, so you can't really.
Well, no. I didn't mean like that. I meant like,
Oh.
you know, if I'm getting one of them, I I think I'm going to take Josh, but it's close.
Yeah, I am right there with you, but I would have went Lamar because I liked Lamar in college and everything, and I was hoping he fall to the second round and Dallas would land him, but that wasn't going to happen.
Here's the interesting thing though about both of them. When they both came into the league, there were questions about them. Josh had the big arm, but they claimed he was inaccurate. Lamar, they said, really wasn't a great passer. Lamar has turned himself into a very good passer, and Josh Allen has turned himself into an incredibly accurate quarterback
And leader.
and leader. I still think the Bills are missing a number one receiver. I think I understand how talented they are as a group, but I still think when it goes and gets tough, you need that one guy who could just wait.
Right. And when you look at the Buffalo receiving line, Shakir had a nice catch and run in the beginning of the game, but Shakir, Keon Coleman, Joshua Palmer are not three wide receivers that stand out to you. Dalton Kincaid, I wish they would get more involved
Yeah,
as he only
I
had
do
one
too.
reception. And then James Cook is having a great, great year. 22
That's
for
why you
100,
have to pay him. Had to pay him.
22 for 117 on the ground, and then chipped in another 3 for 18. James Cook is entering that realm, as Mike likes to say, of top 10 running backs in the league.
Oh, he's in the top 10. Here's the thing about Buffalo, and Nate is, if Nate's listening, he's going to hate me saying this. I don't care what the Bills do in the regular season. I could care. They can go 17-0 in the regular season. I don't care about what you do until January. And by the way, I'm going to say this too. All the playoff losses they've had, I know we love to scapegoat quarterbacks and say it's on them. It ain't Josh Allen's fault they've lost in the playoffs. But you continue to build it up. So it happens. Like,
Yep.
remember Peyton? It wasn't Peyton's fault every year the Colts lost to the playoffs. They just ran into a guy named Brady, and Brady did some stuff.
He did things, Mike.
He
did
did things, yeah.
He did things, yeah.
And then, the Saints. Look, I don't know who's worse between the Saints and the Titans, but I wish someone would be smart in that organization and just say, let's start it. Let's tear it down and start it over.
Well, looking at some contracts, there's only two that stand out. One got paid, but the other one ends, and that's Chris Olave. He got a small extension, but he does. There is a trade clause; he can be traded. Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara. 2 years ago, probably a scary triplet duo, especially with Derek Carr at the helm. Then now you have Spencer Rattler. Not to take anything away from the guy, he's being thrusted into the league. He's got to perform. But 18 to 27, 126. Yeah, he got a touchdown. It's not going to do it. Kamara is not there anymore. Kamara used to be good for 90 yards on the ground and 50 receiving every week. He's just not what he used to be. 4 receptions, 2 yards. This is not Alvin Kamara like.
And here's the thing: turn the page on Alvin Kamara. Turn the page on Cam Jordan, Demario Davis. You can get picks for these guys, and then you utilize the picks because then you at least have a plan. I'm not sure what the plan in New Orleans is outside of people showing their you know what's for Mardi Gras. I really, I just don't get it. That's the frustrating thing about New Orleans is I don't see a plan. That elsewhere in the AFC East slash NFC South, we had the New England Patriots put a beat down the Carolina
Putting it
Panthers,
nicely.
on the Carolina Panthers 42-13. Look, I got to tell you, I thought this would be a breakout year maybe for Bryce Young. He's regressed through 4 games.
Last week he played a decent game. Last week was a good game for Bryce Young. He was not worth what Carolina gave up to get him. 18 to 30, 150, and he had a touchdown. Fine. They ran the ball inefficiently. They didn't have one constant receiver. It all went mixed around. Andy Dalton came in, I believe it was in the fourth quarter after
Yep.
the game was out of reach. And he came in and went 5 for 6 and 58 yards and a touchdown. I'm going to tell you, Andy Dalton's going to start next week.
Andy Dalton is going to get, you're right. Andy Dalton is going to get a look because Bryce Young just hasn't played well enough.
No.
And there was so much promise for him when they put him back in after the bye week last year or after his benching last year that you said, okay, May comes in this year, chip on the shoulder, he's going to play fine.
Right.
Hasn't.
No.
He hasn't. And flip side, New England has an identity now.
New England's starting to look like teams of old. Not there yet, but starting to look a little bit like teams back in the early 2000s.
Mike Vrabel's given them an identity. I still hate the fact that Josh McDaniels is their offensive coordinator. That's a whole nother conversation. And look, Drake May has played well. 203, 2 touchdowns. I think he also had one on the ground. So 3 total touchdowns. They don't have the weaponry, but they're playing for Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, the one stat I want to point out about Drake May is he was 14 of 17,
Yep.
2 touchdowns,
Efficient.
no interceptions. That is lights out quarterback football, especially when you trounce a team 42 to 13. Here's the thing. This was the game that hopefully will get Stephon Diggs going. Had a great game with 6 receptions and 101 yards. Hopefully that'll break him out of his little bit of a slump he's been in the first 2 games.
Well, interesting dynamic for Stephon Diggs next week or this week. New England goes to Buffalo. So
Okay.
there's your test, New England.
And it's going to be a very good football game. This isn't going to be a blowout on either side.
And Chris Collinsworth will tell you here's a guy.
And his name is Nate Moser.
If Moser was sitting next to Chris Collinsworth, that'd be a little weird, but all right. All right. And then the last game we got to get to was last night. I apologize to Dan, but the Dolphins beat the Jets by a score of 27-21. Dolphins go to 1-3. The Jets go to 0-4. And the return of Darren freaking Waller
Hmm.
with 2 touchdowns last night. So
He's gonna turn into what Dawson Knox is for Buffalo, that great red zone target. And that's what he was. I mean, he was much more athletic when he was with Las Vegas. The Giants kind of ruined him a little bit. And then now he's found a nice little spot with Miami. And
and
then
and they're gonna need him now with the Tyreek Hill injury being what it
yeah,
is. He's done for the year, so
yep. And
they're
now
gonna need
flip it
him. Mhm.
yeah, flip it back to the gangrene Jets. And gangrene kind of not that good gangrene, the bad gangrene. Got Justin Fields back and did Justin Fields perform? 20 to 27 to 26 and a touchdown, and then 7 carries on the ground, 81 and a touchdown. This is the run. This is why he was drafted when he did by Chicago.
Mhm.
I knew this kid was going to be a good quarterback. I knew he was going to be a good football player. He is really melded well with Garrett Wilson. Now the whole key is he's just got to pick out who's going to be that second receiver.
That right. They need to figure out who that's gonna be. Brees Hall, I think, is done as a Jet. I think they trade him. Just because of the contract situation.
Yeah.
But this Jets team, man, look, I'm sure Dan will eventually get into it, but they are just the same. They're the same team. They're undisciplined. They're not prepared. And it's just the same thing week in, week out. Double-digit penalties last night.
You can't win a game if you're committing
You're
that.
not winning a game like that. Double-digit penalties, 3 turnovers. You're lucky you were against another bad team. Otherwise, you get blown out of the water doing that stuff.
Yep.
And look, Aaron Glenn could say, do what he wants. Fact of the matter is, you can't be like that. By the way, I'm absolutely done with one player on the New York Jets. I'm not even a Jet fan.
Raylan Allen?
No, Sauce Gardner.
Oh, okay.
You can't tell us post game that you think you only get penalties because you're on a losing team. And you're right. He's right to a degree on this. I hate the way they call holding and pass interference on
Yes.
defense. He's absolutely right. But to make you the martyr for it, let your head coach do that. Let someone else do that for you. You don't have to be that guy. You being that guy is a lame excuse. You got paid this past off season. Go out and earn your money, dude. But on the bright side for the Dolphins, they can win 2 in a row. They play the Panthers this week.
Yes, they can enter moving up to 2 and 3, unless we see Bryce Young for 2 weeks ago.
With my luck, Bryce Young's going to play out of his mind.
Yeah.
Although
The question before
go ahead.
Before you move on, you had mentioned the Tyreek Hill injury. What does this now do to Miami? Obviously, Jalen Waddle becomes the number one. That's easy. Darren Waller's your tight end. Who's the next receiver?
Malik Washington. This is his opportunity to showcase himself. And, they also signed Nick Westbrook Akine in the offseason. So those are going to be your 3 receivers plus Waller.
Okay.
And look, if those guys don't showcase themselves, guess what? Wide receiver becomes a need this offseason outside of Jalen Waddle.
Right.
But you know what? You drafted these guys. Let's see what they've got. And look, if you can start making this run, I know 0-3, it's unlikely you make the playoffs, but you got the Lions, you got the Panthers coming up, you got Cleveland coming up.
Going to be a tough game defensively wise, obviously.
Right. You got the Chargers, which, got it tough, but you got some winnable games coming in, Mike McDaniel. Let's go.
Let's see what he can do with them.
See what you can do, man. All right. That'll do it for the week 4 recap show here on the SA and YouTube channel. Check us out. We're on either every Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll figure it out. Like, comment, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. Follow us on the socials, Facebook Sports Insanity Network, Twitter, Insanity Real, website, thesportsinsανitynetwork.com for great blogs, logs, plane streams, and automobiles. All the podcasts you want, you can get wherever you get your podcasts. Thursday night gridiron this week with Bill and the guys before the Rams and the Niners. So for the old ops guy, Mike Rifkin, we'll talk to you all again Sunday morning for Sunday Sideline Report here on the SA and YouTube channel. Have a good week, everybody.